Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Jake with Jacob Elyachar Podcast, Season 6. I'm your host, Jacob Elyachar, Chief Content Producer and writer of JakeSick.com, a pop culture entertainment news website. Before we get started, if you're watching us on YouTube, please give us a thumbs up and please subscribe. If you're listening to this on any of our audio platforms, thank you so much. Download this episode and more episodes, and please leave a 5-star rating. I really appreciate it. I'm thrilled to welcome this rising content creator I've been watching for years. He's an entertainment journalist. He's been seen on Entertainment Now, Heavy and TMZ, but he's also known as number 7 on the Beast Games of Prime Video. So please help me welcome Brandon Garnsey to the podcast.
Woo! Thank you so much for having me, Jacob. I'm so excited to be here. I've been watching all of your interviews.
I'm excited to have you here. I think we both mutually follow each other, and I was impressed with all your pedigree and like your go-to getter. So I think we both have a similar background. So I'm so grateful to have you here.
Totally. I think we're hustlers, we're reporters, we're super fans of reality TV competition shows, most importantly.
Absolutely. We'll get to our reality television, but however, I love your origin story. So when did you get interested in journalism, and how did that passion evolve and desire to pursue a career in our media industry?
Yeah. So funny story actually, in high school, I did some acting. I grew up in the Bay Area in a town called Danville, so East Bay, kind of near Walnut Creek in Oakland. I went to San Francisco though for acting school, so outside of normal high school. Fun fact, Bridget Mendler was the success story at my acting school, and now she's like almost a nuclear scientist, like doing stuff with NASA. So honestly, in good company. But I started doing that and quickly realized that acting wasn't for me. Didn't like it too much. But I loved being in front of the camera in some way. And so that story, the acting story, coincided with me doing journalism in high school. And then I was like, wait, you can be yourself in front of the camera by doing broadcast journalism. So then I went to college for broadcast journalism at Chapman University and loved it. Mostly talked about, you know me, entertainment tea, entertainment news, hosted a bi-weekly show at my college, Chapman News, all about entertainment news, pop music, movies, everything coming out back then. And then from there, I picked up this freelance journalism role with, it used to be called Heavy. We just did a total brand change to Entertainment Now. So now I do pieces over there, from everything from Kim Kardashian's new Santa Baby cover that just happened the other day, 2 days ago, to Kamala Harris' stepdaughter reaction to her losing the election. So kind of covering a broad spectrum over there.
Which is amazing. And by the way, we're very simpatico, theater from 6th grade to 12th grade. Also did Student Press, CU Independent, CU Sports Bag, News Team Boulder, plus internships with the ABC affiliate and NBC affiliate in Denver, and of course the Fox affiliate in my hometown of Kansas City. So
Wow, similar background, totally.
absolutely. So some of my heroes for the journalism field have been the late great Barbara Walters, and of course on the talk show side, the incredible Regis Philbin. And because those two, I would love to model their career after them, because they've had a career that lasted over 50 years. So who are the people that made an impact on you?
Oh, that's a great question. For me, I go to Anderson Cooper a lot. I think he is dominating CNN, so classful. And then also he's turned into kind of a public figure of sorts, similar to like Andy Cohen, less of a journalist maybe, but more of a host side. I always think of Andy Cohen and Anderson Cooper. I'm a big fan of their New Year's Eve special. Excited to be watching that soon. But in terms of kind of where I want to go with my career, it's definitely leaning towards an Andy Cohen host, maybe mixed with Anderson Cooper being on like traditional news outlets as an anchor.
I definitely see you doing that as well. However, I haven't watched AC Squared ever since they took the bus over Kathy Griffin.
That is fair. Kathy Griffin is a queen. I also can't forget about Wendy Williams. That's the ultimate queen. She's going through it right now. We kind of need her back.
Absolutely. Especially what's been going on with all the alleged allegations regarding Diddy, Ellen, Jay-Z, everything because Wendy would have been there. Oh, by the way, I have a Wendy story to share with you.
Exactly. Wendy got the tea. Wendy knows a lot about Diddy that we just don't know.
And Wendy came to Kansas City back in 2014 for her sit down stand up tour. I was working at Barnes and Noble at retail at the time. I wanted to buy her, and her show inspired me a lot, especially after receiving so many no's and getting memberships and selling
Yeah.
memberships. So I got to see her do her sit down stand up tour, and it was phenomenal. She was fire. And I got VIP. I bought VIP tickets to meet her after the show. She thought my hair was a wig.
That's the best compliment.
Oh yeah, and I really always hope and root for her because daytime television has not been the same since Wendy's departure.
Exactly. There's nobody more real and unafraid of pushing boundaries, questionable boundaries that maybe shouldn't be pushed, but I appreciate it for the momentum of culture. I think in the tone of new media, because I know we're going to be talking about that today too, digital media. I think Trisha Paytas is possibly the next Wendy Williams. A bold statement, but I think she could do it given the more traditional talk show platform.
And not to mention Trisha just made a cameo on SNL, so that's another goal of hers. So I could definitely see her. She's been working her way up since 2008.
Oh yeah. She's put in the work and she knows what she's talking about and she has the growth to prove it. I think she's a really important case study of like cancel culture. She's been canceled for good reasons and she agrees with that. But I think it's about how you move through it and grow past that. Um, I think that's so important to educate society.
I agree. But speaking of creators that have made an impact, you and I have a mutual friend in common.
Yes, we sure do.
I gotta say this, a big shout out to our friend Nick Uhas. Now, Nick made a podcast appearance on 2018 and 2019 when it's back to Jake Stick Blog. Nick, please come back for the podcast. I would love to have you on as a guest. He is
And
phenomenal. And how did you and Nick meet? And by the way, you have played a key role in some of his most viral social media moments.
yeah, thank you. Also, special guest, come out, Nick Uhas. Woo! Just kidding.
I don't have him in the StreamYard chat box, unfortunately.
um, no, but I love Nick. Nick and I actually connected like almost 4 years ago now. Um, I applied on LinkedIn out of the blue to a job posting he put for a personal assistant. So this is like, I'm talking like 2021, early 2021, June. I applied, interviewed with him. In the interview, I will never forget, he said, "Expect the unexpected," quoted Julie Chen. Of course, he was on Big Brother season 15. And I'm like a huge Big Brother fan. But funny enough, I only started season 16, Derek's season. So I didn't watch Nick's season. I didn't know who he was.
Derek
So I
seasons, Frankie seasons, Cody season, Nicole's season.
Yup, that was, like, one of the best seasons, and I know one of the seasons they show the house guests in the hotel when they're in sequester to, like, educate them on game because of Derek's gameplay. But shout out Frankie, side note. I thought he was a real player. But yes, I interviewed for this job. Nick said, "Expect the unexpected." I quickly Google that. I was like, "Was he on Big Brother?" And sure enough, he was, and I knew this was, like, a job for me. I wanted to learn from someone that was a host. He's a host on Netflix's Blown Away seasons 1 through 3. And I was a budding host just graduating broadcast journalism like we talked about earlier. So I wanted to learn from one of the best and someone that was on reality TV as a competitor and someone that's in digital media like you were saying. Nick has like 7 million followers on TikTok, really blew up in the start of TikTok's creation and COVID, as a scientist doing STEM stunt science experiments. I always say, like, think of Bill Nye the Science Guy, but like deadlier and more dangerous, and more like LAified. So we're talking like David Dobrik, Jason Derulo, Steve-O. These are all people we've collaborated with, and it's been so fun. But that's originally how I got started with Nick in like 2021. And then quickly kind of built this like robust working relationship to having a company together. I'm his second in command for our media company, and I've been with him for like 3.5 years now. I've been able to hire some of my friends from Chapman that I went to school with, a couple of my littles from my fraternity I was in, Delta Kappa Alpha. I was in a gender inclusive fraternity about film. So I met some really slaveful people in there. But yeah, flash forward like 3.5 years, and we're still working together. We've done so much together. I've flown out to Canada to film Blown Away with him. The last season, REP season 3, they went with someone else for season 4, but that didn't work out too well because now the show's over. So, but I digress.
Mhm. I gotta say that Nick is probably one of the best content creators when it comes to this. I always messages him or comment him and say, "You're doing awesome. You're killing it." And just to make sure when he does all these crazy hikes and everything, I say, "I hope you make home safely and everything." And he responds most of the time.
That's a big fear. Like this man will climb Mount Kilimanjaro. He's working up to climb Everest soon. He's climbing like a mountain called Aconcagua, I think, in Argentina. Don't quote me on that. In January. So, you know, he's
Alrighty,
really
I know.
strong and safe. But yeah, it's kind of scary.
Speaking of scary, I want to talk to you about something that's going to affect every content creator, and it is as of this recording, the TikTok ban is officially going to be happening when President Trump enters the office for a second time. So,
Yeah.
what have you and Nick and other creators have started to say? Have you thought about other apps that you could say? Because I said on LinkedIn earlier, what I said is, I hope that the content creators tell their audience to follow them to a certain place, like to
Yeah.
Instagram or Blue Sky or
Yeah.
Facebook.
Yeah, that's really important. This is a lesson I learned from Nick himself, actually. When TikTok was originally supposed to be taken away, there was rumors of bans years ago. He did like a live stream. This is like 2021, 2022. So like pretty recently after he blew up there. He just did a live stream and had a post-it note. I don't even know if he was in the live stream himself, but it was just like his room and a post-it note that said follow on IG. This is getting banned if it is, and he gained a lot of followers on Instagram that way. So really connecting with your fans, doing an Instagram live stories frequently just to make sure you don't lose that connection with who you gained on TikTok is really important. But that's not going to work for 100% of the time. So you really kind of need to invest in like, how do I become an early adopter on the new platform that's going to surge after if TikTok gets banned? I don't know. I'm still hoping for a Hail Mary. I kind of am delusional still that it might still be around. But I've heard a lot about Neptune. It's a new app that's supposed to mimic TikTok pretty much exactly. It's in beta right now, so you can get on the wait list. Blue Sky just came out, especially after the election. A lot of people flew over from X to Blue Sky. I don't know if it's really taking off in the way that we all thought it would. But for me, Reels, Instagram, and YouTube Shorts are kind of the safest bets because those aren't going to go anywhere anytime soon. They have a lot of money. They have a lot of legacy attached to them. So I think YouTube will always be the safest place for a creator specifically. But Instagram is kind of where you network. I mean, that's where I kind of really got to know you through your videos and your posting. So I would really focus on Instagram and YouTube and keep an eye out for the new platforms to come.
Absolutely, absolutely, guys. It's always important to be diverse and not put all your eggs in one basket.
Yeah. You have to be really kind of spread out, not spread thin, but spread out on social media to really like capitalize off of everything that has to offer.
Speaking of capitalizing on everything that has to offer, guys, this is the warning section of spoiler territory. So I'm sorry I don't have the spoiler song from Rob Has a Podcast. Shout out to Rob and everybody over there. But however, this is spoiler territory. Enter at your own risk. If you're not, please go over to social media and please rejoin us shortly. So we're going to give everybody 5, 4, 3, 2, One, we're officially in the spoiler zone. So you are wearing the number 7 jersey of the Beast Games. So, Brandon, why did you decide you want to enter the Beast Games?
Honestly, I've always wanted to compete desperately on reality TV competition shows. Such a fan. I always thought I could dominate. Saw Beast Games was a new thing, heard a lot of talk about it. Everyone was like, what is this? It's attached to Jimmy, Mr. Beast. It's going to be huge. It's going to be big. And a little scary. And that all turned out to be true. My influencer friend, Jack Jerry, shout out Jack. He's awesome, one of my best friends. Told me to really apply, and he was the one to really be like, what are you doing? Like, apply, you better hurry up. They're gonna close the application soon. And sure enough, I did. And I kept hearing back and kept hearing back. And so did Jack. Until the very last moment, they cast me and they didn't go with Jack, which was shocking because at the time I was like, really, Jack is this huge creator and I'm a rising creator. I'm like, why wouldn't they go with him over me? And honestly, one of the things Beast Games taught me is a lot of confidence, which I'm really like happy to take away into the new year with. But that's my whole story with Beast Games and why I applied. The application process was like several months. And it was always so exciting to get a new email, a new contract. Oh my God, I moved on to the next stage, the health exams, the psych evals. I was living for everything because I've heard, Davon did a YouTube video about when she went through the Big Brother casting process. And I was like, just so excited to hear about the casting process, like, let alone making it to the end. So to be able to live that was so exhilarating and fun.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Speaking of Davon, I actually named my 4 teams I'm picking for All's Challenge All Star 5, and Shane and Davon are one. Beth and
Yep.
my friend Buff Solark and Joanna are another.
Ooh.
Corey Lay and Big T are another. And of course, the most talked about return that I'm talking about, Frank and Sam. Those are my teams that I'm selecting, that I'm rooting for All Stars 5. If it's individual, those 5. And I'm adding Turbo and Millionaire Mitchell.
I mean, that's an amazing team. That's unbeatable. A big shout out to Big T. I think she's very like underrepresented with the fandom. Big T is a beast and she's so entertaining and sweet. I just love Big T. Anyway, big love to Big T.
Absolutely. But however, we're not here about talk about the challenge. We'll talk about it later on. We
Yeah.
got to continue Beast game. So, all righty. So Mr. Beast offered everybody in the first round to say, oh, by the way, there's 1,000 of you. One of you will get $5 million. However, you can walk away easily without this chance to split a $1 million prize. So why did you, what went through your mind when you saw that $1 million? And why did you not take that bribe?
I've been dreading this question. So
sorry, I saw your reaction. I'm like, oh no.
No, it's a valid question. It's one that haunts me every day. But so you got to understand the lore to it all. There's a lot of lore with Beast Games. We filmed basically the entire summer of this year. The first portion of the show was in Vegas, episode 0. This was like a whole month before this episode 1 on Amazon Prime Video, where we're on the podiums, the platforms, the trapdoors, yada yada. So in Vegas, we spent like a week together building bonds with not 1,000, 2,000 people. That's where it all started with 2,000. I made it, slayed them all, slayed 1,000, got to Amazon Prime in the second leg of the show, which was in Canada, which was actually episode 1. So, you know what I mean? Whatever happened to me in episode 1, we'll get to it, but there was a whole other leg. So because of that, I built such intense bonds with my alliance. I had a strong alliance with people I really cared about, of maybe like 50 people out of the 1,000 that made it to Canada in episode 1. So I did not want to end my story just on the first challenge alone and taking a bribe. Because I'm such a reality fan, honestly, I don't know how much money would make me halt my journey for that, because it's a once in a lifetime opportunity just to play, and I was there to play. So maybe 100K, I would maybe look the other way and be like, "Ooh," but I wasn't going for like what it ended up being was I think like 16 to 18,000. Everyone split once everyone pressed the button. That was the other big strategy too. Mr. B said, "I'm gonna give away $1 million right now." But the twist was however many people press the button, it would be split amongst them. And I know everyone's waiting to the last second and everyone's trying to juke each other out. So that's exactly what happened. The first couple people pressed the button, and everyone was like, "Man, they're getting like $500,000. That looks so tempting." And I'm like, that's not real, because when the time runs out of the game to press the button, it's going to shrink astronomically. And sure enough, it did. So I have no regrets. I have one of my close friends, Marilyn, shout out Marilyn, who pressed the button and got her bag, got her little payday. But then she was out of the game. And I was upset because I wanted to play the game with her. And now that she took the bribe, I was happy for her, but I was honestly, yeah, upset. So were my other friends that knew her, because she was strong, she was smart. We were doing memory comps, practicing together on the way there. And then all of a sudden she was out. So I was like, all that practicing kind of went out the window, Marilyn. But good for you. You won your money. That was kind of my thought process between game one.
Now, game two involved another sacrifice. It's time. So you guys had to be saying, okay, so someone had to be sacrificed in order for that road to get to continue on. However, you and your road disagreed about that decision, and you were eliminated. So what went through? Oh yeah, what went through your mind as you were forced down the chute?
Well, yes. So this was a mixed bag of emotions. Um, Basically, we were lined up in our columns and rows from numbers like 1 to 86. And there were, I think, like 8 rows. I'm so bad at math, so that's definitely wrong. But with 1,000 people, there was several rows full of like 1 to 86 people. So I was with row like number 6 and 8 all the way like reverse 1 through 86. So the lore behind the numbers is also important. So in the Vegas video, which is only on Mr. Beast's YouTube channel, it's episode 0, they're calling it. There was a competition to capture a flag, and that flag had a number that ended up being many people's, keyword many people's, number in the game. So if you got a single digit number, that means honestly you're a beast. Like, no pun intended, because you got an early flag number in the competition, Capture the Flag in the Vegas episode 0 video, which basically meant you were confident enough to run and beat out so many other people that you got an early flag. So I'm talking like number 6 NFL player, number 8 track star. You know what I mean? Like everyone in the early numbers were huge athletes. And then there's me. So essentially, why I said many people got this number is because the flag I ran for was the absolute opposite. It was flag 1,004 or 1,002, which was one of the very last flags you could have gone and ran for in the game, in the Capture the Flag game, because that was my strategy. Basically, there was a lot of strategy behind it. Go watch episode 0, shout out. But basically, he said, there's gonna be multiple rounds. Each round has a different amount of flags and different kind of advantages depending on the round. So it's kind of a game of chance, but I know I'm not going to beat out all these big, huge jocks. So I was waiting and I was okay with that. So I waited and got my flag at the end. But because there were more than 1,000 flags, because it wasn't the final competition in Vegas, we had to rearrange. So there was no 1,004 player because there was only 1,000 players in Canada. So they rearranged me to 7, because the final video in Vegas, the final challenge, was another platform game. And the people that got eliminated in that were 100 people. So there were 100 of us that got a different flag in Canada for the actual Amazon Prime Video Beast Games episode 1. And then some people, because we were filming the whole summer, some people couldn't make the time commitment, so they may have won their spot from Vegas into the Amazon video in Beast Games, but they couldn't make it. So it was either someone that couldn't make it or someone that got eliminated on a platform. Some people went up to me and commented on my posts saying, I knew the original number 7 who got the flag. And I'm like, well, girl, where is he now? Eliminated. What do you mean original number 7? That's me, honey.
You're on the show and you're now the original. And now that it's on camera, it's on Prime Video, you are officially number 7 and officially in the reality TV book of history. History.
Oh, thank you, Jake. Yes.
Alrighty. So when you saw episode 2, like was looking at the games and like the games like the telephone game and also the ball game, and also all the stuff. So were you like thinking, yeah, I could have done that?
Oh, yes, absolutely. A lot of my friends, most of them out of the 50-person alliance, made it to the city, which was episode 2. And like my bestie, Michelle and JK, shout out them. they're in episode 2 and maybe more. We'll have to see. But first thing they texted me when they got their phone back said, Brandon, you would have killed in the city. Like you would have thrived because it was very Big Brother. It was very social strategy. You were living together in bunks, playing these games that were kind of very Big Brother-esque, very veto comp. So of course I would have loved to make it to the city. But you never know what might happen in the future in this show. But there are so many fun games like trivia. My friend Michelle did get out on trivia in episode 2. She was really upset talking about how one of the questions was like, what was the earliest Apple product in this year?
Oh, I remember. And I was like, come on, people, say iPod.
I know. So there's a story behind that. I'll let her. I'll give her the antidote, the true story for her to clear the record. But she was on the team that didn't say iPod. So she basically each round they elected someone to speak for the game of trivia, and there was this short king, she said, that was like, I'm valedictorian of my class, like I got this, I'm not getting it wrong. What does he do? Get it wrong. So the valedictorian got the question wrong. Also earlier in that game, the trivia, not the final round, the Apple question, but there was a question about like Roman numerals. And there was famously a teacher that was like, I'm a teacher. I teach this in my class to my students every day. And she answered for the question and got the Roman numeral wrong. And I'm like, girl. But that was kind of the effect of Beast Games. Like everyone is spiraling. Everyone is like going through crazy amounts of adrenaline, and we're just trying to honestly survive. So that's why a lot of people call us Beast Game survivors, because it really felt like a game of Survivor as well.
Oh yeah, and by the way, as of this recording, the end of episode 2, the number kept rising. There were 4 people on the top tower, and that number kept rising to the front. As the last time we checked, it was into 6 figures. What if you had pressed that button?
Well, maybe. It's so easy to say in like out of the game, being home for several months, living my life, seeing my friends and family that I would give the money to. I would so easily say yes. But if you put yourself back into the game, I wasn't taking anything. I made such deep friends. Like I literally get emotional thinking about them. We've cried together. We've literally survived together. We've looked out for each other. I could not send them home just because I would get money, even though the people that if they press the button in the episode, they continue, but their whole team goes away. But why would you want to continue after you just steal like $1 million and everyone's shot of $5 million from however many people that was on your team? You would get like eaten alive in Beast Games. It's literally Survivor, and it's kind of like Lord of the Flies, like the old book. It's you really want to like get in good with these people because it's basically a whole political system. We elected leaders, we did these crazy things that was literally like unheard of on any other game show. So even if I took the money, I would have like gotten like honestly eaten alive and gone out the next challenge immediately. But yes, it's gonna sound so obvious for everyone's like, oh my god, I would have gone there, gotten the 1 million and left. But when you're looking everyone in their eyes, you're literally on this podium, like way up high, staring down at them. There's some inch of humanity in you that just halts you from doing that.
Oh yeah, it'd definitely be tough. However, it could have led several, if you did do that and were able to get on that episode, it could have led to so many challenge rivalries, which by the way, speaking of the challenges, have you thought of your next show that you would like to partake in?
Yes, that's a great question. I have always wanted Big Brother. That's one I'm going in for time and time again. It's one that Nick was on, BB15. It's one that Blue Kim was on, who I went to Chapman with. Um, not to mention Jelinski, Annika on Survivor that I'm friends with. So all my friends are getting on these CBS shows. And yes, I've thought about Survivor a few times. But realistically, girl, I'm vegetarian. I'm not eating no fish from the sea. I'm only gonna have rice and coconut and maybe like pizza if I win it. Like, I don't know if that's for me. But what is for me is Big Brother and tanning outside, manipulating people, going to the diary room and yapping my ear off, and really being able to get these little house guests wrapped around my finger all the way to the end. I've played like Instagram Big Brother games, like org games, if you've heard of those. And I've won. Um, so I think it's been a tried and true experiment that I'm just waiting to test out on air.
It'd be wonderful. So yeah, you could enjoy the elites of Paul and Tyler and Paulie and Cody and
Yep.
Eric Stein and Dan and Spectacular, and
Uh,
not to mention Nick.
yeah.
That's all these incredible, and Paul. Did I say Paul?
Yeah, Paul. But say him
Yeah,
again. I
and
love
all
Paul.
those incredible men of Big Brother. I got to
Yep.
say this because the thing is, everyone underestimates Big Brother.
Yep.
Never underestimate them. Look what
Nope.
happened to House of Villains.
Yep. Exactly. Big Brother is really the one to watch. It's also like one of the only shows that's playing out live. You know what I mean? Like Survivor, The Challenge, you go and film those shows. Even Beast Games, you film that show, you sit and you have to close your mouth for like several months, even a year until it gets released. I know that was hard with Beast Games. Like, girl, I like to talk and I like am known for not keeping secrets, but this was like one of the few secrets I kept. Listen.
Yeah, because you would have had to pay Mr. Beast a lot of money.
Uh-huh. And they made it very clear you're not to leak anything, honey.
All righty, absolutely, absolutely. So we gotta start winding down our conversation, Brandon. So, Brandon, where can my audience find you on social media? And of course, where can they find the Beast Games?
Yes. Well, yes, you can find me most platforms, just my name, Brandon Lance Garnsey, like Lance Bass. And then on TikTok specifically, it's like the one different one. I'm at Stan, like Stan Twitter, Stan Culture, Stan dot Bran, Bran. That's where I post all my entertainment tea, entertainment, pop girly conversation. So if you're into pop music, you're gonna love my content over there. And I'm also starting to filter in some Beast Games, contestant content with my other Alliance members and all that good stuff on Instagram. But that's where you can find me. And Beast Games is on Amazon Prime. Episodes 1 and 2 are out now. And episode 3 is coming out Thursday, where you can see if Dino, we're calling him, presses the button for the $1 million or maybe more. And don't forget, episode 0 is on Mr. Beast's YouTube channel. That was like 4 competitions that we spent a whole week. We slept under Allegiant Stadium where the Raiders play in Vegas for 3 nights for 4 days. Crazy time of my life. And go check that out.
Oh, that is definitely sounds crazy, and I need to watch an episode. So, guys, if you missed an episode of the Jake Steak with Jacob Elyachar podcast, Visit my channels on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and Spreaker. Jake Sick with Jacob Elyachar, Jacob Elyachar. Now, are you on social media? Because I'm on social media too. Blue Sky, Facebook, Instagram, Threads, and YouTube. Jacob Elyachar, Jacob Elyachar. Now, guys, if you want to catch my interviews with Nick Uhas, all my Big Brother stuff, including conversations with Paulie Brahamian, Paulie Calafieri, and so much more, visit jakesashake.com. Once again, jakesashake.com. Brandon, thank you so much for this, helping me kick off season 6, and I'm so grateful that we finally had this opportunity to speak.
Yes, thank you so much, Jake. This has been so fun to chat.
Let's do this again sometime soon.
Yes, please. Thank you so much.
Alrighty, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening. Until next time, have a great night, everybody. Goodbye.